Hi, everybody. Good morning, wherever you are in the world. Good morning, if you're in the US, especially, or here in North America. And good afternoon to all of you in Europe, London, and maybe good evening to all my friends who are in Malaysia. I just wanted to say welcome to Wisdom Wednesdays live today. And hi, Akina. I see you there. Good morning. Welcome to broadcast. So folks, if you're watching this live with me and you're wondering like, why am I looking up and down? Because I have to see your chat in on my phone or my device here, and that's the way that I can see what your comments are. So please forgive me. At once in a while, you're gonna see me look down or type something or look away just because I want to see what you are saying on the broadcast. All right, everybody, don't know who's here, but if you're here, I would love for you to say hello. And how do you do that? It's basically just put in a comment so I know that you're here and I can say hello to you back, because if you don't put a comment, I don't know you're here. So for some of you who probably caught my first Wisdom Wednesdays live broadcast last week, I kind of I started off the conversation with this topic, which is actually a quote. And the quote was by Ryan Reynolds. And I think you've heard it a lot around, you've probably heard it a lot too. Just in case you're wondering, like, why can't Zeph talk this morning? Because I haven't had my coffee just yet. That's a good excuse, right? But so, like I said last week, I started out the Wisdom Wednesdays live broadcast, Words That Serve to Inspire, with this quote from Ryan Reynolds right down here. When you have expectations, you are setting up for disappointment. And if you're right here on Facebook, you will actually see a link to the actual broadcast that I did last week talking about this topic. When you have expectations, you are setting up for disappointment. So I just wanted to kind of like do a second broadcast because I talked a lot about managing expectations in that last broadcast. But today I wanted to kind of follow up a little bit about I want to tell a story, actually. My girlfriend, Kenya Halliburton, who I kind of work with a lot and collaborate on some projects, especially in the live broadcasting world. We've done projects in the past, and one of the things that we had a conversation about was exactly this: managing expectations. And when you have expectations, you are setting up for disappointment. So last week, in this same broadcast called Wisdom Wednesdays Live, which I kind of launched last week officially, I shared a quote by Ryan Reynolds that says, when you have expectations, you are setting up for disappointment. And today I wanted to follow up with this and tie in that story that my girlfriend Kenya shared with me, because this is going to be good, y'all, because I would love to hear if you've experienced this. So I wanted to go from that managing expectations with a I would say sub-content called Embracing How You Were Designed and Created. I'm going to kind of share that a little bit and tie in that story with the caterpillar and the butterfly. Anyways, if you're here, like I said again, please be sure to say hello and say something in the comments, because if you don't, I probably will not know that you're here. I may see you come in and out from my device, but I probably will not see you fully until you write a comment and say hello, hi, I'm here. And if you're catching this broadcast and a replay, what I would still love for you to do is basically just leave me a comment to this topic or the story that I'm sharing, because I would love to hear what you two have have to say. Of probably you have an experience similar to this one that you could share with everyone. So one of the things I want to share this morning is talking about embracing how you design and create it. That kind of ties into your authenticity and your organic self, right? And this morning I had a call, and I was privileged enough and honored enough to be on this community call with my vivacious community leader, Jenna Emily, and we talked about this quite a bit, which is authenticity and embracing how you design and create it. Part of managing expectations, I think, it ties in how how you were designed and created. I started my conversation in the past broadcast talking about, sometimes we have this expectations based on, it goes all the way back to, historically, it goes all the way back to culture, how you were raised, how you were conditioned, and how you were programmed, right? And part of what I want to talk to you about today is basically when we're managing expectations, because we know expectations are sometimes what we create for ourselves, right? We think other people impose that on us, but in a way, to kind of, when somebody says something to us and we thought it's an expectation they have on us, if we actually respond to it, we may be creating another expectation for our own self. So that being said, last week in my last broadcast, I talked about, when you have expectations, you're setting up for disappointment. And today I want to tie that into a conversation and a story about how embracing how you were designed and created is important, because it's the authenticity and being your organic self, your true self, is what really is important in not only your personal life, but also in business. Does that make sense? So I'm not sure who's here. So let me just see who's here. I want to see if I can invite a few people and say hello to them, because it's kind of important to share this out with people who appreciate authenticity, who appreciate the topic of managing expectations and thinking about, hey, true, I've had conditioning and programming when I was much younger. And how does this all tie into how I manage expectations in business and also in life. Does that make sense? So let me just kind of check in here to see who's here. And I just want to say a quick hello to anyone who's joining me today. So let me see who's here. Okay, here we go. If you're here, do say hello so I can say hello to you back, okay? Because I am looking down at my devices so I can make sure that I'm talking to whoever's here and checking in who's here with me. And okay, so I'm going to kind of like make it really short, simple, and straight to the point. So when I had my conversation with my girlfriend, Kenya Halliburton, and we came up with a story, the 30 minutes conversation went to 3 hours, but we covered a lot because part of our conversation was about talking about managing expectations. But today, a subtopic that came up from that conversation is embracing how you were designed and created. So in this conversation that I had with Kenya, we talked about, she told me a story about the butterfly, the caterpillar and the butterfly. Right? Because we all know that caterpillars go through some sort of time period where, it will then transform into a butterfly. So she read a story. Hi, Rita McRae. Welcome to broadcast. Good to see you here live with me. And if you know anyone who you can share this content about managing expectations and embracing how you were designed and created, please share this out and please say hello in the comments so I can say hello to you back, girl. All right. So that being said, me and Kenya had this conversation. 30 minutes turned into a 3-hour conversation. But part of the story she told me, she had read a book. I was hoping she could join me today, but unfortunately she's at the dentist, so she wasn't able to share the story or the name of the book that she read about. So it was a story about the caterpillar and butterfly, and talking about managing expectations, and talking about, embracing how you design and create it. In the past, I would say past few months, I've gone through some challenges. I call it the sandstorm, and I had to learn how to embrace how I was designed and created, because I was having challenges with my conditioning, my programming when I was much younger, right? Culture sometimes impose expectations, because when other people impose expectations on us, the way we respond, we somehow created our own expectations. When you have expectations, what happens? And like I said last week, when you have expectations, you're setting up for disappointment. So that being said, she read about this story about this two caterpillars, all right, and they were racing up the branches, and they keep falling down, and they try again, and they, that period of time when you don't know, there's a lot of uncertainty, because apparently as they were going up the branch, they were told by other caterpillars, right, that were coming down the branches, oh, there's something great out there, but we don't know what it is, but it's too far, we can't reach it, so we're coming down. But these two caterpillars said, so Kenya, if you're hearing this story, and if it's wrong, be sure to write in the comments, Kenya, and put your own notes, because I would love all our audience to kind of respond and hear the story. So they were going up the branch, and the other caterpillars who kind of gave up, and they came down and go like trying to tell the two caterpillars, oh, we can't get to the top. It's so high. It's so, you can't reach it. But the two caterpillars said, but we heard something great is up there. Like, what is up there? So as these two caterpillars go up the branch, I mean, it was a hard move. They have to, it's like a trampede, and they have to go over other caterpillars that were coming down the branch, and they finally I'm going to make it short, and they finally got to the top, right? And they're like, what's here? What's here? But it was perfect timing for one of the caterpillars turned, like a few days or something later, they stuck to the top of the branch. That caterpillar turned into a butterfly. However, only one turned into a butterfly, right? But when the butterfly flew away, and the butterfly looked down on the branches and saw the other caterpillar that did not turn yet into a butterfly, the butterfly didn't really know or couldn't connect with that caterpillar. So what I'm trying to also say, and the point of the story is this: here's a new butterfly, right, that saw his friend, the caterpillar, who hasn't changed into a butterfly, right? And he's trying to talk, but they can't, because they're not talking the same language, because the butterfly has grown and soared, and the caterpillar is trying to figure out, like, what are you saying? So the lesson of that story is the fact that how is this embracing how you design and create it, right? And I think it also ties into our mindset, because we're managing expectations. The caterpillar hasn't really fully grown into a butterfly. Does that make sense? And he's stuck because he's right there. That mindset is still there, because he hasn't done the whole peeling of the layers and turned into a beautiful butterfly. So he has no choice but to embrace how he was designed and created. And how it's designed and created is to make sure he focuses on what's the next step, becoming the butterfly. But in embracing that moment, how he was designed to be a butterfly, but he has to go through all these things, right? That challenge. We just have in that moment, living in that moment and managing that expectation. And because we're thinking like, oh, I need to be there. But when you actually live in the moment, surrender and pay attention, and the time will come when you will turn into a butterfly, and your mindset grows, and your mindset advances. That's going to be beautiful, because when the second caterpillar changes into a butterfly, what would happen? Then they both will soar together, because mindset wise, they understand the language, they know where they're heading, right? So if you embrace where you are, and now the butterfly, because embracing the butterfly, the caterpillar has changed into a butterfly, right? Embracing how you were designed and created, can now progress, soar, move forward, because you know why? We took we paid attention, live in every moment, paying to the every step that is needed for us to grow, right? From the caterpillar to the butterfly. I'm not sure if I'm making sense to any of you, but if I am, and you can resonate with what I'm saying, please go ahead and, share your thoughts. And I just want to say, hey, Dr. Zona, welcome to broadcast. I saw that you just came in as I was looking down, and please share what your thoughts are. Would love to hear about that, because one of the biggest things, and in managing your expectations, is, I think, is living that moment, knowing who you really are, right? Because we all know when we have expectations, we're setting ourselves out for disappointment or failure. So what can we do? We kind of need to embrace how we're designed and created. We have to live in the moment. And sometimes, like what I went through, the sandstorm, I just needed to surrender. I needed to surrender, be in a moment, and understanding how I was designed and created. Therefore, when I embrace how I was designed and created, I manage expectations better, because I teach myself not to have expectations, so that, I'm like, oh, just because I'm like this, you need to be like this too. No, right? Do y'all agree? Because when we do that, and in the last broadcast, I shared about how culturally, I believe culturally, I was really programmed and, conditioned in a certain way. And I really had to peel back all the layers, just like a caterpillar, had to peel back all my layers before I turned into a butterfly. I had to peel back all my layers to understand, my cultural conditioning, my cultural programming. And I had to take a look and surrender in my sandstorm moment and look at and tap into my joy and happiness and see who Zaf truly is. That being said, everybody, it is so important in the way we do business and life these days is to be authentic and real, true to ourselves. So embracing how you design and creating, how you were designed and created, can really help you, especially in business. If you understand it and you apply this, right, it can really help us all grow and really focus on what matters most versus what other people think we should be doing. Because sometimes when people impose their expectations on us, sometimes it could be our loved one, our parents, because we live in two different generations, right? And I talked about that in the first broadcast. If you did not watch that in this Facebook post, you actually can get that link to the actual broadcast. If you're actually watching this on YouTube Live, in my last Wisdom Wednesdays, because I have a playlist, the last Wisdom Wednesdays video actually talked about when you have expectations, you're setting up yourself for disappointment. And now I'm talking about embracing how you're designed and created is important in managing expectations, because you have to peel so many layers like the caterpillar, right? And then you want to become a butterfly, but you're so like, you can't wait. You're like, oh my God, when am I turning into a caterpillar? You feel like you need to rush it. But, the universe has a great way of helping us through that process. And sometimes we have to step back and surrender and embrace and learn about our core self. Pay attention to how we were designed and created, because there's a gift in there that will teach us, to go back to our core and peel that layers of conditioning, programming, cultural beliefs and stuff like that to get to who you really are. When you know who you really are, when you focus on embracing how you were designed and created equals your authenticity, you will be able to manage expectations much better, because then you will look at the other person or other people and you'll say, you know what? I'm going to stay in my lane because I know this is where I need to be and I need to move forward. And this is where I trust that I will grow the fastest. Yes, I will take into consideration what you're saying, but this is where I know I need to be. And I have faith that embracing myself and how it's designed and created will help me to progress and manage my expectations so that I won't be disappointed or have failure. Does that make sense? So, Dr. Zona is saying, agreed. She says we should never put our expectations on others that can lead to a big letdown. That is so true. We all do this. I promise you, we all do this. Sometimes, we don't realize it, right? We don't do it intentionally, but it is out of cultural conditioning. It is out of cultural programming in our youth. And, it goes so much further in historically in our life. We were conditioned a certain way. So we take certain values, but also maybe our values or beliefs are based on other people's expectations and we think it's ours. And as we mature in life, in certain stages of our life, whether it's because you've gone through some challenges, you're going through, you're building your own business, you start realizing and learning from other people. And then you start to peel your layers because now you're being taught how to embrace how you were designed and created. And suddenly you go like, you know what? My cultural conditioning and programming, nah, it's not who I am. So you've had to peel the layers just like the caterpillar, right, Dr. Zona? You have to peel out your layers to become the butterfly that you were designed to be or created to be. Does that make sense? So thank you, Dr. Zona, for being here, for sharing your thoughts. And for all of you who are catching this on replay, I would love to hear how, when in this topic of managing expectations, how focusing on embracing how you're designed and created has really helped you to manage your expectations. Because we said, expectations can be imposed by other people on us, and then how we respond to it, not realizing or not intentionally, we create our own expectations. That excuse me, let me get some coffee in. That in itself, how we respond towards other people's expectations on us, we create a new expectation that may not be the best thing to do, because when we know this, what happens when you have expectations? When you have expectations, you're setting up for disappointment. That being said, today I'm talking about how to focus on embracing how you were designed and created, just like the caterpillar, right? You need to learn to live in the moment. You need to learn, in order for you to become the butterfly and soar, there are certain things that you have to go through in life, right? The stages. And part of that process is sometimes in peeling that layers. And I talked about this, is what I'm summing up, is the fact that take a look back in your cultural conditioning, your younger, when you were much younger, how you were programmed and conditioned, because, when we were younger, we don't disrespect, and especially in my culture, we don't disrespect the elderly. So we think that is good for us. But as we grow into our adult self, we go through challenges, and especially if you're a business owner, it doesn't matter, in life in general. Like me, a business owner, there's some things that I have to juggle, personal life, business, and you go through sandstorms, which I kind of did a few months ago, and peeling back that layers and surrendering, and I've had to learn how to focus on embracing how I was designed and created, really has helped me peel the layers and, most importantly, manage expectations. Because sometimes unintentionally, when people impose expectations on me, I created my own expectation, and I realized, oh, you don't want to do that, because you can set yourself up for failure and disappointment. So that being said, I would love to hear what you all have to say, especially if you're catching this on replay. And please share this out with your friends. And I hope to see you on the next live broadcast of Wisdom Wednesdays live. Words that inspire, words that serve to inspire. I'll see you next